we'll look at a mistake that people make doing overhead presses or shoulder movements and a way that you might be able to avoid that. And what happens is most people, when they're doing overhead work, one, they put their elbows out. And just like with bench press, if you're putting your elbows out, you're putting a lot more stress on your shoulders. So we want to try to make sure we're tucking our elbows in. If you look at it from a leverage standpoint, once again, if you're lifting something overhead, you don't want to lift, at a poor leverage position. If you get your body in line, you're going to have a lot more leverage to push overhead. So, if you start tucking your elbows in, it's going to make it a little easier to go up, and it's going to make your shoulders in a lot better position. So, that's the first thing. The second thing is, because everyone is consistently on a phone or a computer, and everyone is starting to be inclined to walk or move in this forward lean, hunched over posture, we'll press from here too, which causes some restriction based on our shoulder blade being moved too far forward. So what we want to do is make sure that we're tucking our shoulders back before we push overhead in order to make sure we're clearing the shoulder blade, any tissue or anything like that out of the way, so the muscle has room and is not restricted to press overhead. It's going to help prevent shoulder injuries. So if you think about Olympic lifting, so somebody who's coming up to the rack position here, or people that are just snatching overhead, they're doing that, and they're naturally shrugging and pulling their shoulders back and getting in a good position when they do that. So if you're doing bodybuilding or you're doing something else where you're lifting overhead, it should be kind of that same movement before you press overhead, but we don't do that. We lean forward, kind of flare our elbows out, and then we want to push here. And if you look, your shoulders are forward. We want to move them back and then press up. So anytime that you are getting ready to come up and push, make sure that you set your shoulders nice, and then you come up and then you're pressing overhead. So in doing that, it's going to put you in a lot better position. Even if you're flaring your elbows out, at least your shoulder blades are in a good position. But you actually want to try to tuck your elbows in too and go from there. If you're familiar with CrossFit, they do a lot of stuff with medicine balls. That automatically keeps your elbows tucked in. But that's the process we need to be looking at when we start moving overhead to make sure we're not having issues with shoulders later on.